Yeah. Welcome to Set Talks, where we separate fact from fiction. Mess it up a minute every time. This that Set Talk, yeah, we set it straight. Cut through the noise, elevate the debate. No pseudo talk, no foggy claims. Just evidence-based when we build these frames. Set Talks, yeah, clarity first. If it ain't got method, it probably won't work. From ancient knowledge to modern science, we draw that line, that clear defined. They say the ancients had science. Hold up, pause. Knowledge ain't the same as methodological laws. Observation, yeah, but control tests rare. No predictive models, you gotta be fair. We respect the past, but we keep it exact. Precision matters when you deal with facts. Astronomy grew, astrology split. One stayed empirical, one lean myth. The shift came through naturalistic method. Just standing of eyes, that's how we embed it. Not culture bound, not tied to a place. It's a universal tool for the human race. This guy said talks, yeah, he said it straight. Cut through the noise, elevate the debate. No pseudo talk, no foggy claims. Just evidence-based when we build these frames. Said talks, yeah, clarity first. If it ain't got method, it probably won't work. From ancient knowledge to modern science, we draw that line, that clear defiance. They blur definitions, start moving the goalposts. Turn fried to a claim that don't hold close. Science ain't on, this a process refined. Independent of culture, space and time. You can't redefine it to fit identity. That's how you lose all epistemic integrity. We test every claim, we don't just believe. If it can't be verified, we don't receive. From early observers to labs today, it's rigor and doubt that paved the way. Not name dropping scholars to win a debate, but data and method that validate. So what's your ideology? That's cool to ask, but truth ain't decided by the loudest class. We question it all, no sacred ground. If it don't hold up, we break it down. This that set talk, yeah, we live in direct. No fear in the facts, just intellectual respect. No more, no mirror, no fantasy, just truth, logic, and consistency.
What's your ideology? Can somebody explain to me why all this blackology? Is this the culture's community? Every discussion rooted in blackology, fueled by the lack of basic integrity. Case in point, you know who I mean. High level foolery, dress up as a dream. Nostalgia trap, always reliving history, but missing the method, no epistemic consistency. Name drops heavy just to spark up the flame, but scholarship ain't just remembering names. Smoking mirrors, performance, artistry, debate, turn feeding my intellectual honesty. You say build, but what are you building really? If it's not grounded, it's just sounding silly. What's your ideology? Can somebody explain to me why all this blackology? Is this the conscious community? Confusion rising, no clarity, just noise wrapped in false authority. What's your ideology? Yeah, somebody explain this bit. Promoting theories with no accountability. Cherry pick claim just as credibility. Confirmation bias, that's the strategy. Ignore the data, rewrite reality. Call yourself a scholar, that's a travesty. Is the method system, that's not mastery. You can't read plain sight, culturally the call it truth. That's not how it be. Some saying no, just mythology. That's the word repeatable, that's the policy. You burn the lines, create mythology, then package it up as black technology. Now it's energy, now it's destiny. Now it's society at the feet of legacy. But inheritance ain't validity. You still gotta show that wisdom and stability. What's your ideology? Can somebody explain to me why all this blackology? Is this the conscious community? All I see is fantasy, no rigor, no transparency. What's your ideology? Still waiting, explain to me. Try to put the map, rewrite biology. Got check quick, that's reality when evidence is. No apologies, vivid again. No mythology, squint your eyes, disguise the lies. But truth don't bend to theatrics and cries. The crazy or not, that don't move me. If the logic's weak, I see it clearly. No ideology, I stand on method. Test to reclaim, cross-check, then hit it. You want truth, then you gotta respect it. Not just protect it when it's convenient. What's your ideology? Yeah, that's the question lately. But if it ain't grounded properly, it's just noise and it don't faze me. Yeah. 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 question lately, but if it ain't growled properly, it's just noise, and it don't phase me.
It's just noise and it don't faze me. Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome again to another TED Talk where we separate science from stories, evidence from assumption, clarity from confusion. Today's quote comes from Francis Bacon. Sir Francis Bacon. Knowledge is power. Mm, mm, mm. Before we get into today's fun facts and stuff like that, let's we are at an epistemic rupture in our community. The old way is out. The house is burning. Methodological naturalism is here. The shift is pretty much complete. They have discredited themselves in every which way, from utter lies to utter intellectual confusion, caught themselves in semantic traps, and now we're here, where the pseudo killers always was. We are the teachers in the community. We have decided long time ago that we were going to provide you with scientific literacy, the tools to protect you against the charlatans, the scammers, fakers, and the hustlers in our community. And one by one, every day, they're getting exposed. Ain't it a beautiful thing? All right. Fun fact for today, April 17th. This is the day that the Ford Motor Company introduced the Ford Mustang to the world, selling over 22,000 units in the first day. And today in science, the moment deep highlights something deeper: how scientific knowledge becomes real world power, from engineering to material science. It wasn't guesswork. It was tested, refined, and applied knowledge. Because science isn't just about knowing, it's about what that knowledge allows us to do. Mhm. Let me see. We got one more for you here. Let's share my screen real quick. Share my screen real quick. Now, don't quote me on these things, because this is the Department of Anthony Juju, the Science Club. And here we go. On April 17th, 2014, NASA's Kepler Space Telescope confirmed the discovery of Kepler 186f, the first Earth-sized planet found in the habitable zone of another star, the Goldilocks zone, as we like to say around here, located about 500 light years away. Now, think about what 1 light year is, let alone 500 light years away, right? Light years is a measurement of distance, not time. Well, it's measured, distance measured in time. You understand what I'm saying? Anthony, that's why we have Anthony, because he could refine and correct these things and put it exactly the needs to be. But a light year is the distance that it would take to travel at the speed of light for a year. At the speed of light. Now, these are 500 light years away. Orbits a red dwarf star similar in size to the Earth. It's positioned where liquid water could potentially exist. This was a major milestone in the search for potential habitable worlds beyond our solar system. And with that, folks, we are going to get into today's episode. Before we get, let's talk a little. Interesting times, I say again, man. Let me see who's in the chat. Let's shout out the chat. That's a ritual that we're supposed to do around here. And of course, I gotta shout out Miss Lisa. Miss Lisa,
pseudo killer, official pseudo killer army who's always supporting the channel. And don't forget to subscribe, like the show, thumb up the show. I see Heru in the building. Hey, my brother, Heru Consciousness, stick around because you're going to have to hit that panel later. Space Age Anthony is in the building. Don't forget, once you come in here, hit the like button. Hit the like button. Help the algorithm grow. And where possible and if possible, share the show. Let me come back to my initial diatribe, my monologue. Yeah. I've never claimed to be a scientist. I work within the hard sciences. I am a fan of philosophy, always been. Logic, reasoning, the philosophy of mind, qualia, these type of subjects has always been my interest. From different perspectives, you learn to engage with this data. Coming out of the laboratory setting, trained in that field, your first year, you are supposed to familiarize and understand not only the history of science, but the philosophy of science because it creates a particular frame of mind. So that's all we've been doing. When reality dawns upon the old way, the natural philosophers among us, the barbershop boys, that think that their logic is all that is required, and you get stuck on stupid because your logic would allow you to actually argue for a sun setting and rising. Now, we obviously know that's not true. Right? We obviously know that's not true. So the natural philosophers want the ability to take the data produced by methodological naturalism. By methodological naturalism. They want to take the data produced by methodological naturalism and retrofit their natural philosophical assumptions onto the data, where the data is speaking for itself. Over here, the methodological naturalists, the natural philosophers want the room to reinterpret the data based on their particular frame of reference. And as you see, the question is, where does all this blackology come from? You got individuals putting themselves in semantic traps. My good brother, Reggie. He assumes your ignorance, and obviously mine, and assumes that I do not understand when the word science is being used in its broadest sense and when the word science is being used in its actual modern definition. So when we use the word modern science, it's to indicate the modern definition, methodological naturalism, the rules of engagement, the constraints that are on it. When we talk about science in its broadest form, we are talking about the knowledge systems, the systems in which particular cultures acquired knowledge. Based on us having a more proficient understanding of the subject matter, we can understand the terminology and also understand the, how you could say this word, the historical anachronisms that are evident in the nomenclature. When you see the word astronomy, two separate cultures engaging in what you call astronomy, is that the same practice, or do they share that word based on particular features? They are using the heavens. Ancient used the heavens for timekeeping. Our days, we time keep with a watch on your hand. Astronomy has a completely and total different definition in its modern context. To create the illusion of linearity between the two, because the word is similar, is false reasoning. That's a equivalency fallacy, false equivalency, the semantic trap. They're doing all of this. The prefix game, ancient versus modern. We understand already the infancy of your argumentation, and therefore you're easily dismissed and rebutted. I am not rebutting anyone. These things are prepared in sequence so that I address this problem, because the presentations I'm preparing are simply a matter of holistically addressing this issue from point A to point Z, systematically breaking it down, taking all the errors into account. There is no debate to have. You cannot debate from a flawed premise, not understanding or conceptualizing the ideas around what we're talking about. The framework narrative have completely disrupted this community because we are so used to operating in the tools department. They have a telescope over here, and they have a telescope over there. They used to look at the sky over here. They used to look at the sky over here. When I'm having a far superior intellectual conversation, I am discussing the frameworks, the psyche with which those observations are being taken place. Deductive versus inductive. I think I have to do a presentation on these philosophical concepts just to make certain things more clear. When I appreciate my interlocutors, because when they do what they do, they just provide me with content to produce material to address certain issues, right? If deductive reasoning and inductive reasoning, and that the inductive reasoning requires a set amount of tools, then it allows me an opportunity to create a program and a platform in which I teach what inductive and deductive reasoning is, and that these are conceptually distinct processes. There's a hard line between the two. Mathematical naturalism. Here we go. Non sequitur. These gentlemen are starting to understand these words, and now they start to play with this. What is mathematical naturalism? Refine it. Mathematical naturalism is a language. It's a language model, right, used to describe nature. However, again, still abstract, and nothing to do with the scientific method, or nothing to do with the philosophical foundation of science, which is methodological naturalism. You see the word naturalism, and you think you're engaging in the same categorical conversation. These are category errors we're dealing with. You see, the mere fact that he's talking about mathematical naturalism versus a framework to engage in science, where mathematical naturalism will be or can play a component, right? Can play a component. He's again, what he's talking about, he's operating at the level of the tool. At the level of the tool, and are having a conversation about the frameworks. See, they really, really do not get it. So we'll come back to the discussion, but to clarify and solidify these discussions, I answer a lot of these questions in the presentations I do, thereby making the question itself a redundancy. So without further ado, let us get into one of two presentations I have for you today, because because there we go. Let me take a quick visual here. All right. So we're at the point now that we can start to actually engage in the area where my interlocutors have been muddying around the whole time. The scientific method, how the science actually works from rule to reality. This is where the components of tools that my interlocutors keep mentioning, this is the level up where they're having a conversation. If you see a wheel 10,000 years ago, doesn't mean that they were driving cars because we have wheels on cars today. Doesn't mean that a horse and buggy is a primitive car. These are epistemically, conceptually, two different paradigms. I've been saying that from day one. But now you're starting to finally get it, I think. Let's go. Last episode, we established something critical. Science is not just knowledge. Science is not just being right. Science is a method. And at its core, and at the core of that method is methodological naturalism. The rule that says only natural causes are allowed in explanation. But that raises a question. If methodological naturalism sets the rules, then how do we actually do science? That's where today's topic comes in. The scientific method. The scientific method is methodological naturalism in action. You see, I let you guys run amok because I know you don't conceptually get it. So I'm taking it in stages. Now we're at the place where you've been playing. Before the scientific method, people weren't stupid. They observed the world, thought deeply. They built systems of knowledge. Philosophical naturalism is a knowledge system. You have varying components and varying arguments within it, but the framework lasted for 2,000 plus years, maybe longer. If you analyze the Egyptian and Babylonian philosophical foundation, they are pretty much theological and teleological in nature as well. The shift there is where the natural philosophers took away the agency from the divine and placed the agency within nature. But that placement of agency, the fact that the human had the authority, really never changed. So within the realm or within the framework of natural philosophy, you can consider the Egyptian much more in the mythological philosophical camp, where the Greeks were much more in the natural philosophical camp. Yet, fundamentally, under the same conceptualization of the human as the authority, human as the author of nature, the human conceptualization as the canvas on which nature was described. But they had a problem. They relied on authority, intuition, philosophy. Take Aristotle, for example. For centuries, Aristotle taught heavier objects fall faster than lighter ones. Sounds reasonable, right? For nearly 2,000 years, nobody seriously tested it. Why? Because it made sense. Because an authority said it. Because reasoning replaced testing. And this is the core issue. Logic alone, my good brothers to peace, does not guarantee truth. Everything begins to change in the early modern period. Thinkers start asking a question, a different kind of question. Not what sounds right, but how do we test if it's actually true? Enter Sir Francis Bacon. Bacon argued that knowledge should come from observation, experimentation, systematic testing, not tradition, not authority, not scripture. These are the fundamental different framing. And why he was in a position to do this? Because the empirical nature that they once relied on fell from under them, disappeared. Discovery of the new world, we'll get there. Getting ahead of myself. This is a radical shift. It is not a linear progression. This is a shift. You go out, what? Boom. There is no linear progression when your old system collapses. There's not a linear progression. You're not building. You have to devise a new system to produce your empiricism, your foundation for understanding the world. You needed a new system. The old one, natural philosophy, did not function. You don't get more natural philosophy. You get a complete fundamental, a fundamental paradigm shift, a different way of thinking. And it begins and in beginning of a new approach to knowledge. You don't just think about it, you are required to test now. Now let's define it clearly. The scientific method is a systematic way of testing ideas against reality. It's not a rigid checklist or a magic formula. It is going to be malleable based on the specific area that you're engaging with nature. So that's why I don't engage in the point for point checklist type of mentality that you guys are displaying, because I understand the subject. You are looking for keywords. I'm looking for concepts. Different levels we're having this conversation. It's a self-correcting system designed to reduce errors. At its core now, it works like this. Observe something, form a hypothesis, make a prediction. Test those predictions, analyze the results, revise or reject the idea. And this is a very fundamental philosophical concept. Because in the old way, when we get into how Islam is firmly rooted within natural philosophy, not science, natural philosophy, this is one of the areas we are going to see clearly. You don't reject the model, you revise whatever it is you're doing to fit the model once the model proves to be incorrect. You cannot step out of the philosophical framework that created that model. So that model must continue to reflect that philosophical framework because it is a conceptualization that is more important than the actual data. This is a fundamental difference. And most importantly, repeat the process because one test is never enough. That's why you get observation, question, hypothesis, experiment, analysis, conclusion. And you do this over and over again. Now, here's where people get confused. They say ancient people observed things. They experimented, y'all. And that's true. But that's not the scientific method. I'm sorry. It simply isn't. The scientific method is only within a particular philosophical framework, not the tools that you see, but the philosophical framework under which you use those tools. They are going to produce different results. Here's the difference. The scientific method is not just doing experiments. It's a system built on principles, evidence over authority, testing over assumption, replication over anecdote, correction over certainty. And this is what separates science from everything before it. You didn't have a little bit of science, a failed science in the past. This is historical anachronism. Presentism at its worst, Reggie, messy observation, the trying to semantic your way around this hard reality that you can't get past. You simply they weren't practicing science and they didn't need it. Shout out to JJ 7000. JJ came on yesterday. Said these people had far sophisticated societies and they didn't need methodological naturalism. Agree, JJ. They didn't need science. Thank you. They had their own empirical knowledge system and it worked just fine. Now we add another critical layer. Enter Karl Popper. Popper says, yeah, let's separate science from pseudoscience. How do we know that? Eh, how do we know? How do you separate? His answer, falsifiability. A scientific claim must be testable, and more importantly, it must be able to be proven wrong. If there is no possible way to prove a claim false, then it's not science either. You see, when you are in this area, you can draw these hard lines because you're not engaging with your emotions. It doesn't matter how convincing it sounds, it simply isn't. The scientific method isn't just a tool, it's a safeguard against human weakness because humans are biased. We see patterns where there aren't. We believe things because they feel right and defend ideas we are attached to with everything that we hold dear to us. That's what we see now, the flickering of a dying philosophical concept. The scientific method forces us to confront reality. It says, don't trust your intuition, test it. Don't protect your ideas, challenge them. Don't seek confirmation, seek correction. Now let's bring it back to the broader debate. Did the ancient civilization have knowledge? Absolutely. Did they observe the world? Yes. Did they develop techniques? Of course they did. But here's the key distinction though. They did not have a fully developed systematic self-correcting method for testing reality. Let's say that again. They did not have a fully developed systematic self-correcting method for testing reality. And that is what defines science. Not intelligence, not achievement, not being right sometimes. It's about a complete method. So let's bring it all together. Methodological naturalism sets the rules, only natural explanations. The scientific method applies those rules, tests everything against reality. And this is where science truly begins. Not when humans start thinking, but when they start testing, correcting, and repeating. You don't get science by looking at the world. You get science by testing the world and being willing to be wrong. Tomorrow's episode is going to be the institutionalization, the peer review process, the final pieces to the puzzle. All right. I'm going to see if you have any questions about it. Doom, doom, doom. Let's see here. Science seeks the what, the how, and the causal why. Yes. So if you don't understand causal why versus philosophical why, metaphysical why, then again you're engaging in a subject out of your depth. You really don't understand the subject to the depth that you should think you know it. Science engages with a form of why. Why a particular mechanism? Why does it operate this way? We don't ask the why, why are we here? Those are metaphysical whys. Science remains focused on the systematic understanding of reality. What is the causal why? The causal why is science, the system, how it operates. That's why we do science, to understand the causal mechanism, not the purpose why. These are two different philosophical concepts. You're over here, bro, outdated, burning house, burning house. I got one more presentation, but I'm gonna drop the link. Let me see if 2P you want to jump up here. Drop the link early today. I can do the second one I want to do with y'all right here. Don't forget to thumb up the show. The Don Master, the Don Gen Master. Welcome to the show. 2P's in the building, my boy. The philosophical masters, the masters of the old way, the guys who want to make it up and think that their what do you call it? Their logical reason, their logical deduction can survive in this modern day. That's 2P's. Let's go.
Question, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Why are you using a terminology that was invented not by a scientist, or that was first coined not by a scientist but by a philosopher?
Repeat yourself again. Can't hear you so clear.
That terminology that you was just using, which one was it said?
Which terminology?
Let me make sure. I don't want to lie. All right.
Mathematical
The
naturalism.
terminology. Yes. Who
You put
first
that in.
coined that phrase?
Yo,
No.
I don't do the who first coined what phrase. That's, you see, these kind of arguments that are completely non sequitur. Who coined which phrase first? No, what is a philosophical foundation? Where does it place itself in the argumentation? That's a discussion we're having. So to answer that question, Supis, I don't know.
Yeah, no. Who first coined that
I
phrase?
don't know.
No, but you're using it.
I know you heard me say that. I talked
No.
about. Stop. The only term you hear me using is MN, methodological naturalism. The
Yeah.
coining of the
All right.
term is in 1983. But if you
By who?
understand
By
that
who? Yes,
coining,
yes.
stop.
But no. That's what I'm asking.
Wait, let me finish.
Mm.
So again, you put mathematical naturalism in there, and I was questioning what that has to do with the conversation.
All right. Okay.
First of
Sorry.
all, number two,
All right.
I only use methodological naturalism.
All right.
And
Beautiful.
methodological naturalism,
That
the term was coined in 1983.
by
However,
who? Yeah, by who?
that is
The same. By
Listen,
who? No. I'm asking you. By who?
I can't give you the actual name now.
Of course.
Let me look it up.
Once you tell me 1983, you're seeing the name of the person who
Yes,
coined the term,
yes.
right?
But so
Was
what
it?
is
No.
the relevance?
So
What?
for the first thing is
Stop. We ain't doing that. We ain't doing the hollering back and forth. I ask a question. Yeah, answer me.
who coined that term?
What is
All
the
right.
relevance of it?
No,
What
because
is the
all right, let me
relevance?
answer that. Let me answer the relevance of it. The person who coined that term was not a scientist.
Of
He
course
was a
not.
philosopher.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Wait. He was a philosopher. Yes. Yes, methodological naturalism is a practical application branch of a part of philosophy, natural philosophy. We want to understand the world. It's within the branch of naturalism, right? It falls under naturalism. It is an operational wing. It is not the philosophical aspect. It is the empirical epistemic branch of philosophy. So when you're looking at science, it remains within the philosophical realm. However, science itself, that system
Why
of
you mute me?
logical
Why
naturalism
you mute me
is
and I
as
didn't finish
practical
talking? Can I finish speaking? You mute
because
me and I didn't finish
I do
speaking.
not let people create straw men. So
I
I
didn't create
clarify
straw man. I am
everything
saying,
before. Go ahead.
can I speak for 2 seconds?
Go
30
ahead.
seconds.
Go ahead.
You use the frame that was coined not by a scientist, but by a Christian philosopher, right? Because now you're allowing Christian philosopher to determine what are the fundamental pieces of science. Because that term, by the definition they use, is a fundamental piece of determining what is science.
So
Am I right?
again, Stupi's is engaging in his natural philosophy.
No. I'm not natural philosophy. You see?
Don't cut me off.
No. You cut me off before I finish talking. You cut me off before I finish talking because you come up here with bullshit. But I can talk. Other people hear me talk elsewhere because you're cutting me off because it's the same bullshit. You come with a Christian. And you make the Christian dictating what is science. And then you say, once somebody have faith base, them cannot be considered a science.
That's a bad argument if I ever heard.
No, stop talking, dude. Dude, Joel.
Let me deal with your bad argument. First of all, I explained and I clarified.
Listen. If you mute me again, fuck you, Cedric. Go fuck your cousin, Cedric. Go fuck your cousin. Go fuck your cousin. Because that's all you small island people do. Fuck your cousin. Because you want to mute, because you want to talk bullshit.
That's okay. So now I had no point, so he ran. Right? So let's deal with his irrational.
I thought it was. Couldn't hear a thing you were saying.
So again, natural philosophers, they want.
I think you're on mute, Cedric, or was it my fault?
Oh, sorry. Good, Joel, come off mute, bro. Go ahead and I'll respond to you.
All right, so I was going to stay. His argument's pretty bad. You know, it don't make a difference who coined a term. What we are discussing is what's being done to validate said term. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you gave a really good example. You was like, well, it was once believed that something heavier would fall faster than something lighter. Like, I mean, that makes sense. Like, I mean, if you go off your five senses, you'd be like, yeah, that would make sense, right? Something heavier would drop faster than something lighter, right? And so now, you know, they start doing some testing and they find out, that's not really how it works, you know. But it's the tools. So that's what we're talking about. So if somebody coins a phrase, no matter who it is, right? They coin a phrase and they are discussing how something is done, right? And now that's what we're practicing, how something is done. That's different than what somebody did in the past. Then you have a clear demarcation.
Yeah, I mean,
right? Am I messing that up or am I correct? You on mute. I'm gonna let you know. I can't hear a thing you say. See your lips move.
First of all, they're having these arguments.
I can't hear you though.
Can't you hear me? If you can't hear me,
but you follow what I'm saying?
Yes, I follow what you're saying, but you can hear me?
I can't hear you. I don't know if it's me or
you need to go out and come back in, Joel.
You might not have heard nothing I said.
I heard you.
If you didn't hear me, Seth, you just tell me. I'll repeat it.
I heard you.
Because I sure don't hear you.
I heard you. Let me do this. I'm gonna kick him out so he can come back in because I can hear him, but he can't hear me. Come back in, Joel, because I can hear you, but you couldn't hear me. So I kicked you out so you can come back in. Come right back in, Joel. So, yeah, Joel was absolutely right. We're having one particular conversation over here. And what my good man Stupi's is coming to do is coming to have a completely non sequitur conversation that its rationale doesn't make any sense. Right? First of all,
did you hear anything I said?
I heard everything you said, Joel.
Okay, go ahead. Do your thing.
The money. So, first of all, his whole argument is non sequitur, not germane to the conversation. Coining of a term, right, is done by a philosopher who is looking back at the scientific process and he is defining these categories. It's what philosophers do. It is what philosophers do. And if you are briefs with the subject matter and briefs with the conceptualization of what we're talking about, you would understand that he's a philosopher, whether a Christian or not. He is doing an analysis of the field of naturalism. He's conducting an analysis of the field of naturalism. You see that branch called science? It's based on materialism, how you engage empirically. It's based on a particular epistemology that produces that system there, right? They're engaging in this conversation without understanding that you're actually having a philosophical conversation. It is about how you think about nature, how you
Right.
engage and interact with nature. It's a philosophical discussion. That's why I'm telling them, y'all are arguing and damn playing with the tools. Y'all playing with tools. Who got a microscope? Who got a hammer? I'm not interested in that. That's ah, that's a irrelevant, insignificant conversation for me. I'm talking about conceptualization. I'm having a higher a level intellectual conversation. I'm sorry. That's why I do not digress and play who had a microscope first, who tested what first, how often did he test it. I don't care. What is the philosophical framework under which he operates? That will indicate everything. That ends all these silly discussions. So now, again, they are attempting to muddy the water with an insignificant and irrelevant argument, right? Why is it irrelevant? I don't care who coined the term. I don't even care when the term was coined. I am looking at the systems of operation. Here, we're looking
Don't go nowhere,
extreme.
Cedric. I'll be right back. Keep
Ah,
building. I'll be right back. I got something I want to read.
all right. Yeah, I want you to do that. To come up there to throw in a temper tantrum, you're exactly right. He was a Christian defining. No, he defined a term which represents, right, a philosophical component of how we engage with reality. So your non sequitur, I don't care if he was a Christian or not. To practice methodological naturalism, as I indicated yesterday, it doesn't have anything to do with your personal convictions. It's an operating system. And because it operates void of cultural context and it's universal, anyone can apply this system at any particular given time in history. Doesn't matter anywhere on this planet, you can apply that system now. We have a system called methodological naturalism that is universally applicable. I don't see what's too difficult in understanding that. But I do understand where these people have a lot of problems conceptualizing what we're talking about. Let me go into my second presentation for the day. I told you I had two for you. This one is not long either. We doing these sweet drive-by style presentations, keeping it short so that you understand what we're talking about. There we go. We keep hearing as if science is a linear progression. Science was not inevitable. The paradigm shift they missed. In our last episode, we broke down what science actually is. Not just knowledge, not just observation, not just experimentation, but a method grounded in a very specific philosophical commitment that nature is explained by natural causes. Now we take the next step because there are claims, we keep hearing them, that ancient civilization had science and that modern science is just a result of that knowledge improving over time. That's not just incorrect, it is a complete misunderstanding of how science began. We are taught to think in straight lines. ancient knowledge, we get more data, then we're going to get better theories, and eventually we're going to have modern science. Sounds intuitive. But history doesn't work that way. Because if that were true, then the most advanced ancient civilization with centuries of observations, engineering, and innovation should have developed modern science first. But they didn't. Why? Antonina. This is captured in what historians call the Needham question. Why did modern science arise in Europe and not in China, for example? A civilization that had gunpowder, the compass, advanced metallurgy, detailed astronomical records. This wasn't a lack of the intelligence. This wasn't a lack of data. So what was missing? They had all these advanced systems. As a matter of fact, they gave Europe the compass, the gunpowder, the printing press, and they had them all already. Here's where the conversation goes wrong. People describe ancient knowledge systems as early science, proto science, primitive science, as if they were trying to become modern science, and just didn't get there. That's a mistake. They weren't failed versions of science. I keep saying that. They were different epistemologies, different ways of understanding reality, and that is perfectly fine. They didn't need science. Their systems work for them. Y'all are being doing presentism. Y'all really disrespect and discredit the ancients. In ancient systems, knowledge was grounded in authority, tradition, philosophical coherence. Think about figures like Aristotle again. He comes right back. I'm going to keep putting him in your face. For nearly 2,000 years, his ideas shaped how people understood the world. But not because they were tested, but because they were trusted. Nature wasn't something you interrogated, it was something you interpreted. You understood it inherently through this framework, right? You have these frameworks, and in nature needed to be within the Thales conceptualization of the arc of nature being water. So this is the framing of all your thinking, your philosophizing about nature. It happens within those frameworks. And here comes a critical point. Y'all assume more data, more data, more data, more data will break the framework. No, more data does not break a framework. It gets absorbed into it, explained away, reinterpreted, harmonized. That's what was going on in the Islamic golden era, where they were firmly rooted in natural philosophy. So they weren't practicing science. That's what a stable knowledge system does. So no matter how much empirical observation you accumulate, 4,000 years of Egyptian knowledge, if your philosophical foundation, natural philosophy, teleological, the gods did it, stays intact, you do not get to science. So that makes you think about the failures of the West that forced a paradigm shift that produced methodological naturalism. Think about it. Then something changed, the age of discovery. And the discovery of the Americas didn't just add new information, it introduced information that did not fit. Lands no Asian authority could describe, species no classic system accounted for. People outside inherited worldviews. For the first time, reality stopped matching the books. Aristotle, go find it in his books. This is a Greek map. This is an ancient Aristotle map of the world. They don't know what's going on. Oops, confusion. Huh? How do we, huh? Flat Earth model. Flat Earth model. It has to fit a flat Earth model. Oh, they didn't know. Their whole foundation fell away. And this is what created an epistemic crisis, a rupture in the old way. No continuity, no linearity, a rupture, a heartbreak, like, whoa, stop, wait a minute, call the press. Y'all ain't know what the hell y'all were talking about. Not just we need more knowledge, but our entire way of understanding knowledge might be wrong. And that changes everything. Everything. And this is what Thomas Kuhn, who later is called a paradigm shift. You see where I get these words from? I don't make them up. And if y'all can detect the sources that are within my construction of my presentation, that's on y'all. But I don't make nothing up. I'm not a natural philosopher. Not an improvement. This is a paradigm shift, a replacement. The rules changed. We didn't just add more rules. We tore up the old rule book. It didn't exist. New one. Complete change, not a linear progression. Get your philosophical groundings right. Play with me. Out of that crisis came a new commitment. Methodological naturalism, a radical idea. Hey, I'll tell you something. Nature is explained by nature. I don't care what the Pope says. I don't care what the priest says. I don't care what Aristotle says. I ain't listening to none of them. I ain't following none of y'all traditions. I ain't care that you what? That's a metaphysical claim. You ain't got nothing to support that. You made that up. Hume said, I ain't nope, get out of here. The authority started to fall apart. Think about it. Think about the persecution. Think about the discreditation of the pseudo killers. They're at their last bits. They got no mouth to hold. So the church is now starting its persecution. We gotta get him. Chop off Galileo's head. Lock up this one. Silence. This is what they don't go over there and listen to him, y'all. Don't go over there. They're poisoning your mind against the standing spouse of religion, Islam. Man at the mouth. Don't listen to him, y'all. No academic integrity. I tell you, after you finish here, go listen to him. Please do, so that you can make an equivocation of the level of intellect you're engaging with. It's two different subjects altogether. But he is so hurt. You don't come and dear, listen to him, y'all. Scientists say he's a scientist. Where, when, how? Me? You lying again? But I know you're a liar. I'm still waiting for you to produce that fictional recording still, right? But it is what liars do. I have no other expectation. Again, when you do that, it allows me this to freestyle, add you to the content where appropriate, right? You are now the source of content for moi. Oh, how the tide have changed. You see that? That's what a radical idea shift. Nature is explained by nature. No chef, stoopies, y'all don't get to make it up, Reggie. your assumed authority in every subject, Mr. Polymath, and that by mere association. I was once in the room and smelt the fart of a great person. Now I have been endowed with his essence by means of the arc of life being ether. And his fart passed through the ether and entered into my nostril cavities, infecting my brain with the superior intellect. That's why I go to the museum, you know. I walk around and try to sniff the farts of the curators, enhancing my intellectual capacity. The ether, the ether. Natural philosophers. Now they're dying. And they're acting like the state-sponsored religion. They're acting like the church. They're out there trying to discredit. They're out there lying, losing their mind, lying, lying, crying about being lied on while lying. That is the classic example of a dying flame, flaring all over the place. Just before a flame goes out, it goes, my intellectual integrity would continue to say, go over there, listen to him, process the information I'm putting, check it, see if the logic, the reasoning, the philosophy is sound, check it against the data. It comes from the philosophy of science. It comes from the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy. I told you those are the two instruments you need to read to have this conversation. I didn't say it was going to be an easy read that night. I said, but these two things you need to have firmly rooted. When you look into the philosophy of science, it's going to take you all over the place. Metaphysical naturalism, philosophical naturalism, methodological. It's going. You need to read all of it, to be ready to have this conversation. And y'all reading to rebut. Y'all trying to learn this stuff. When I was talking about methodological naturalism 4 years ago, you know how much more of this stuff I've already read. I ain't up here being the equal. You need source to verify. Check me, fact check me. Go right ahead. Go right ahead. Go ahead. I don't rebut dudes that their first slide is boomerang dagger done. I'm not responding to that stupidity. He needs to grow up. But by testable, repeatable natural causes, this is the birth of modern science. And we already deduced the semantic trap. We ain't talking about it. Science is inherently modern. It's a new thing. That's why we say modern science, a new thing. Modern knowledge system versus an ancient modern knowledge system. If you want to play the semantic game, what is a modern knowledge system? It is methodological naturalism. What is modern science? Methodological naturalism. What is ancient science? Natural philosophy. You see, you still can't get away from it. Y'all can't get away from it. So, why not China? Why no other advanced civilization with 2,000, 3,000 years of firmly rooted, established tradition? Because their system remains stable. That's the exact reason why. New knowledge was integrated, not used to overthrow foundational assumptions. No sustained epistemic rupture. No paradigm shift. Reggie, remember when I introduced this word, you had no clue what it was? Right then I said, oh boy, this is going to be a long ride. Now, to have a paradigm shift, you require the written thing, and down it needs to be written down. What? Paradigm shift is a fundamental way, changing way you look at something, way you look at a concept. If we now travel by means of teleportation, the way we look at travel is going to fundamentally and conceptually change. That is going to be a paradigm shift if we no longer need to take an aircraft but can dial up your phone, sit in your living room, and boom, Star Trek. That's a paradigm shift, Reggie. It's a fundamental conceptualization that changes everything about how we think about time and space and the movement therein. This would be a paradigm shift, Reggie. It didn't need to be written down anywhere. And today, the paradigm shift begins, ladies and gentlemen, because the Nubians, they gave the Egyptians their language, lying, scamming, bumbling buffoon. Get out of here. So let's be clear. Ancient civilizations had knowledge. If you find one presentation where any of the pseudo killers, God, community of skeptic God killers said any different, post it. They had a technique, they had innovations, but they didn't have fire. You mind the thing how fire? Said they didn't have fire, y'all. Oh, hey, look, man, what y'all think? I don't think about it. Zulu killers say, the damn size. Do it myself. Emotion. That's what I can do with people. What y'all think, folks? Don't go for this. Stop listening to them. Please don't listen to them no more. An emotional Catarini with clippers. An emotional Catarini with clippers. Have been wrong, gonna stay wrong. And now he doesn't want y'all to come over here to see how he's making me look bad, y'all. Son, dude, chat GPT. This dude sitting up there with a chat GPT presentation while reading it, getting debunked in real time, and saying where the source is over here. Do you hear yourself, monkey? I'm sorry. We have decided that we are going to apply the appropriate nomenclature and taxonomically, scientifically significant nomenclature. Gullah, I'm sorry. You Caterini, emotional Caterini with clippers. Don't cry, mate. So you don't get no tears in your eye while you trying to do the fader. Cause I know them niggas might mess you up if you mess up their face cause you crying over some science that the ancients didn't have. Because science is not defined by what you know. They had knowledge. Ancient civilizations had knowledge. I'm correcting Reggie's error, right? I'm giving them back their knowledge. I am hereby taking Reggie's claims and nullifying them. He no longer has to defend them. We don't want to see him anymore, though. But trust me, ladies and gentlemen, despite the irrational semantic salad that Reggie produced, which put him in a particular bind, I am here to restore the knowledge of the ancients back to them in all their glory and honor. Like JJ 7000 agreed, they had all this knowledge said. They just didn't need methodological naturalism. I said, JJ, you're right. We agree. They had innovations, but it did not have science. Because science is not defined by what you know, it is defined by how you justify what you know. So next time someone said, ancient people had science too, you say, yeah, just an earlier form. That linear progression. Understand what's being missed. Science was not inevitable. If it was inevitable, why didn't it arise in Egypt, in Egyptian civilization that had 4,000 years of accumulated data, knowledge? It did not emerge because we gathered enough facts. It emerged because we stopped trusting the old ways of explaining them. Your epistemic foundation your whole entire epistemological system fell apart. Boom. You realize, oh, dang, they be on some bullshit. I was starting to be on some bullshit. You know what it is, the freedom people experience at the same time, the horror of not knowing. You can imagine what a human being. Imagine me waking up tomorrow and my whole philosophical foundation fell apart. I probably would lose my mind. Find myself in a lab real quick, but I'll probably lose my mind. Because how is this possible? My whole philosophical framework, my whole way of thinking collapses. Y'all got any idea what that time period looked like? The utter chaos. Imagine how the doctor felt. His whole Greek philosophical approach to medicine became blah. He, his authority, based on the Aristotelian or whatever school of thought, just falls apart. No malaise. Huh? Germ theory? My whole what? Y'all really don't understand how fascinating these subjects really are, man. Without a break in authority, without the stripping away the authority of those who are authoritative by proximity, without taking away the divine fiat, by which means a Reggie assumes authority on every panel that he steps on, because he have inhaled the farts of those of superior intellect, because he's engaged in their presence, their ether. Break from that authority. Without a shift in philosophy, philosophy is a thinking without a shift therein. So it's not more natural philosophy, it's a hybrid, bam, without a new standard of truth. New standard, not the old one with some things on top, it new. No, a complete redesign, a complete overhaul. You actually threw away the horses and now you've got a combustion engine. So now it's not an upgraded buggy. We are not using horse and buggy anymore. We are in motorized combustion engine. We gone from 2 horsepower to at least 50 in the first shot. It doesn't appear. It never begins. Okay? Science doesn't evolve. It doesn't appear. It never begins. Again, without a complete philosophical break, a rupture, an epistemic rupture, you don't get to where we is today. So now come and argue your nonsense with me. Come on, you Joel.
I ought to call you a couple of bad words is what I ought to do. Got me sitting in the back. I said, this guy is, this guy cooking, man. He ain't looking in the backstage for nothing. Boy, you like a pit bull. When you zone in, you don't look no. Oh, shit. You get a bite, you get a grip on something. That man said, I ain't letting go. I'm going to shake this rag doll till it fall apart. Oh, man, you're a mess, Cedric. Hey, you was cooking, dog. So, look, here's what I wanted to say. Somebody dropped a really good book in our Discord. You know, we kind of do that in our Discord. Them other Discords, they probably don't read no books. But somebody dropped a really good book in our Discord. L. Peirce Wilson. The title of the book, The History of Science, Definition of Natural Philosophy and the Development of Science. That's L. Peirce Wilson. History of Science, Definition natural philosophy, and the development of science. All right. Now let me do a real quick readership of about 2 or 3
Go ahead.
paragraphs. You good?
Go
You
ahead.
good?
Go ahead. You good? I'm good. I'm good. We do some research.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah. You
All
good?
right.
You
I
good?
pulled this. I pulled this out the book. It is so relevant to this discussion. It says, by this point, it should be clear that the application of the word science to the pre-modern world should be done only after the most careful consideration of not only what the researcher is analyzing, but also the place that this term holds within our modern epistemic regimen, in which science is part of a larger discursive formation. This formation is one that brings the concepts not only of rational and scientific together, but also modern, mathematical, and empirically tested. Given the place of science in the modern world and the social capital it commands within the Western habitus, researchers should invoke the term to describe knowledge constructs prior to the 17th century only with the greatest care and hesitancy. Let me read that one more time. He said researchers should invoke the term to describe knowledge constructs prior to the 17th century only with the greatest care and hesitancy. This point has not gone wholly unacknowledged, as Alistair Crombie implied something quite similar when he argued that we must be concerned above all with people and their vision, and acknowledge that words can have highly divergent meanings when employed within differing historical contexts. Saying experiment itself may have different meanings and intentions in differing contexts. We must approach our subject with an explicit cultural relativism, a step in the right direction, surely, but Crombie would have done better to urge his readers to stick to the use of terms that do not do violence to the history he was trying to understand. That's what they're doing right there. Okay. Ultimately, what is at stake is not only the risk of imprecision, but a sort of modernist chauvinism that threatens to undermine any attempt to understand the past. This seems like too-step a price to pay for careless use of language. Dude! Oh, snap, Cedric. That's L. Pierce Wilson. This book is about this conversation we having. History of science, definition, natural philosophy. You hear that? Dang, I can't hear you again.
Oh, my bad.
Man,
I was on mute. Sorry,
oh,
my bad.
okay, good. Hey,
I was
yo,
trying to see if we have a bomb. I was trying to see if we have a bomb.
we need, oh, shoot. That dude is beating this conversation up. Point number one, Cedric. He said you do damage to their historical context. When you use a word that does not accurately describe what they're doing, we're not the one taking away their greatness. We're not taking away the greatness of a pyramid builder, of someone who has figured out how the eye works, or came up with calculus, and on it may go. We're not the ones doing damage to that. We're saying that, hey, these people who did these things were marvelous. They were cut above the rest. They were dynamite. Yet for all, they did not apply the method that we're using today. So the only thing we're saying that if you're going to call it science, you only can do that if you see the method that we're applying today. That author said, if you take this word and you apply it to someone else, you messing up
Joel,
not only the word,
Joel,
but you're messing up their history. Okay, I'm done. I'm off my soapbox.
no. I'm saying you were fading in and out, so couldn't hear you too clearly. So you need to say that all again because you're making an excellent point. I need you to say that again.
Okay. That author is saying that when you take a word, oh, I see what's happening. Man, my Bluetooth's going back and forth. hold on. I was in my truck. It's trying to do both. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear now. I can hear you loud and clear. So go ahead.
You can hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I need you to repeat that. That's an excellent point, please.
Okay. I'm going back in. All right. What that author is saying is that if you take a word like science, because the book is about what we're talking about. And he says that if you take this word and you apply it to the people that were not doing it, you are doing damage to their history. You're messing up the context in which they did things. We're not the one messing it up. See, we honor the pyramid builder and the guy who came up with the optical and the guy who came up with calculus and discovered planetary rotations, and the not the plier who mapped the sky with their structures. We honor that because we're like, oh man, they were doing some really marvelous stuff. They was cooking. They was doing they got us to where we are now. They got us here. But to try to say that they were doing science, you're doing an injustice to these groups. You're doing an injustice to them. You're messing it up. You're not honoring them. You're trying to lie on them and say they were doing something that they just were not doing. They were dynamiting what they were doing at the time they were doing it. We're not taking away from them. The folks who fighting us are, because a system was finally developed that you could literally check, and you talked about this, where you can literally check your work, send it off blind. Don't put your name on it or nothing. Somebody else in another place do the work and say, by golly, I would have never thought this. This is spot on. and now you have the ability to actually write a theory. There's no way you can think them folks back then was doing that. What? Why even fight it? Now, I'm going to tell you something, Cedric. One of the things that he said in this that I think bleeds into this conversation, he said that the word science carry a lot of weight, right? People, we science has affected our lives so much that we depend on it now. It's like it's what we use to further our lives. So I get it that people want to take this word and apply it to groups in the past. I get it. They reaching for something. I don't know why they feel like something's being lost, because we don't feel like that. We think what they did was brilliant. But for some reason, the folks that's fighting us, I think they feel like something's being taken away from them, right? They want to say, oh, you just trying to say only the European does science. No, we're trying to say that a method was developed. That's all we saying. We're not saying that they're no better than anybody else. They just came up with a method. That's it. Why is that so hard? Well, I know why it's so hard. Because they feel like something's being taken away. I want to go on record and saying we're not
Man,
taking anything away. And if somebody was to take something away while I was sitting on the panel with them, I would push back. But go ahead.
yeah, I mean, that was beautifully said, Joe. Beautifully said. There's so much confusion happening for no reason. First of all, this conversation has always been about a method. It never was about intelligence. It was never about technique. And to look at the ancient people as a underdeveloped or a failed modern science or failed attempt at science is is a very negative and dangerous narrative to paint. Historians are asking us specifically, ho, 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 ho. You know what? We need to readdress the nomenclature that we have been using. Words like proto create an illusion that they were attempting to do what we're doing. It is an injustice from us to go back in time with our framework science and start to measure everything according to that. And that's exactly what you guys are doing. That's what you would do. Everything you accuse us of is what you are engaging in. Ed Reggie was caught saying the other day they had messy observations. What's a messy observations? Did their eyes work less properly? Weren't they endowed with the same level of rationality, Reggie? Did our rational capacity grow? No. That door bangs right now, I'm gonna jump because somebody's there to get me. That's your initial reaction. Instinctively. We still have the same exact brains as our savannah cousins 350,000 years ago. Don't take me as absolute. Don't take that as absolute. So it's not intelligence. So why would their observations be messy, Reggie? By whose standards, Reggie? By whose standards would their observations be messy? Who would use such a word in an academic setting to describe ancient civilizations and their cultures? But you know why you get that type of diatribe? Is because you are looking at them from a very Eurocentric, Reggie, from a very
Boom,
Eurocentric,
boom.
superimposing superimposition of presentism on ancient cultures that you would refer to their sophisticated data collection as messy. You're disrespecting the culture. Now, this is a second shot. First, you say natural philosophy isn't science, and you've always continuously made the hard equation between knowledge and science. So you're saying if it wasn't science, which was their form of empiricism, you're effectively saying that these people had no knowledge, Reggie. They were dumb and ignorant. That's what you're effectively saying. There are consequences to the thing that come out of your mouth. Joel, take the floor for a second there. I'm going to answer real quick.
Use it and say, well, I'm just saying knowledge. I'm not saying, what we do today as far as, our methodology, right? I would, I know some people might not like this, but I would hold my hand. I wouldn't even fight, because they're giving it context, but just to throw the word out there and try to make it imply that, you know, uh, um, the Egyptians were doing science because they, they had some writings about some medical things. That's so disingenuous. That's not what we're doing today. We go way further than that. And this is another page out of L. Paris Wilson's book. I dropped it in the chat, the name of the book, L. Paris Wilson. That's a bad book. Anyway, it's a section in it that says, therefore, in order to understand what any word means, an individual must always learn its role in the language game, which requires historical and cultural contextualization. Oh, shoot. Its use will always be rule governed, and terms functioning outside the boundaries of these rules have no meaning. That's a body blow. All right, anyway. However, as stated previously, the rules in question are not immutable, but instead are historically and socially contingent. Perhaps even more importantly, for our current study, analysis of the discontinuities involved with language use or dispersion, as Michael Foucault would term it, is itself part of the process of understanding any given statement. So when you start using words and use them improperly, people really don't understand your statement. Or, the folks who understand what the word is, they don't understand your statement. They kind of look at you like a deer stuck in the headlights. They kind of like stirring. Like, what does he mean by that? The folks who don't know the meaning of the word, they take away the wrong meaning. You follow what I'm saying, Cedric? Like somebody who doesn't understand when we use the word science, that we're talking about a particular methodology. They'll hear somebody say, oh, such and such use science. And they'll walk away thinking they're doing what we're doing today because they just don't understand the word. So using the author is saying using these terms haphazardly is doing an injustice to the hearer. They listening to you, yes. They walking away with the wrong context, or like us, we sitting there staring at you like, well, what does he mean? We kind of comparing. We're like scratching our head. I done scratched the bald spot at the top of my head. Like, what is he talking about? That didn't make any sense to me whatsoever. But so man, this stuff is important. Get the book. That's all I'm gonna say. Go ahead, say, do your thing.
Let me do this for a second. We've been hearing a lot about the Islamic Golden Age, and they were doing science. This is from the Oxford University, in conjunction with the museum, and they are talking. This is so you can go in and see the credibility of this source. Right, it's from the Oxford Museum. It's just a little piece. As right there, the conversation is literally over. Right. That interconnection places it within the realm of natural philosophy. See, the fact that I do systems, I have these conversations at the level of systems. I do not get bogged down in the minutia of who did what. He measured with 77 inches precision, and that means he was a scientist because he invented the zero and then he understood the comma. Astrology and astronomy were closely linked in Islam, encapsulated in the Arabic term Imam al, yeah, okay, which means the study of both disciplines. The Quran, the Quran isn't, well, once we refer to a particular doctrine, isn't that within the realm and the perspective of authoritative framework? Don't answer that. The answer is yes. I mean, it was a, how you say, a rhetorical question. Yeah. The Quran suggests, hey, Chill out. The Quran suggests that there are signs in nature for man to read. And in the history of Islam, the study of astronomy and astrology were at one time regarded. Oh, just a second. Dude, chill out, bro. They were at one time regarded as having a higher spiritual purpose in thinking about the universe. However, the hadith, the account of. Just a second. Oh boy. Yeah, when I was trying to rock out, Sid, you making a whole bunch of noise. Huh? It's not fun, buddy. However, the hadith, the account of the words and actions attributed to Muhammad, mention that only God knows the future and implies that man should not attempt to predict the future. Inaccurate forecasts could also have serious consequences. For example, a series of disastrous predictions by Taki led to the demolition of the Istanbul Observatory by Sultan Murad III. The demolishing of a endeavor to understand the natural world because it didn't fit within the theological framework of the authority of the state. Isn't that inherently natural philosophy's paradigm? So you see, let's read a little bit further because instead of moving forward, we see that the Babylon, watch, the main principle of Islamic astrology were inherited from the Babylonian and Greek cultures. So you see that inheritance of tradition. You see how the words that come back here indicate where you need to place these cultures and these attempts of understanding the natural world in a specific framework. You see how easy it is to put the Arabs and to put the golden age of Muslim nicely within the framework of natural philosophy. So we're not doing that anymore. We're not playing in the mud. When you understand conceptually what is being talked about, two sentences and you got it. Were made relevant to Muslim scholars because of the spiritual relationship. Is this empiricism? When we deal with spirituality, are we dealing with supernatural? Are we dealing with metaphysical? Is that within the preview of the scientific method? Is that within the preview of methodological naturalism? If your answer is no, ladies and gentlemen, then you have reached the place where you have distinguished methodological naturalism from natural philosophy, thereby eliminating the ability for the scammers, hustlers, flim-flam, frauders, emotional Catharinis with clippers in our community to bamboozle you. As interpreted from the Quran, between the celestial bodies and the heavens, a man and the earth, each of the signs of the zodi. What? Zodi who? Was taught to govern certain aspects of earthly life. Well. Hey, next time you see the emotional Catherine, anytime you got some explaining to do, he was trying to tell y'all that this is science. They were doing science, y'all. Wait a minute. Sultan Murad III, he didn't have the authority to say, we ain't doing that. Stop it. In the name of Allah, stop it. Is that secular inquiry into nature? Or is this a very theological based structure? Muslims obtained much of their astronomical knowledge from Greek antiquity. But original works also were undertaken, yes, the reinforcement of tradition. Cosmological theories were developed, mathematical models for planetary motion were improved, and highly accurate observations of stellar movement were taken. The modern use of Arabic terms such as the zenith, Azumirit and Nadir, and stars names like and demonstrate Muslim influence on astronomy, naming of the stars. We know this. We know this, right? But you see how they're firmly still rooted in a philosophical framework that is not methodological naturalism, but natural philosophy. Huh? Stop. Stop being such an emotional Caterini. Stop trying to overwhoop things. So no, the Islamic Golden Age was firmly rooted, nestled comfortably, without any problem, within natural philosophy. You don't need to try to start to overwhoop, pretend they had science. They had science. Why? Why would they have need science? Shout out to JJ. JJ made it clear yesterday. Huh? He made it clear yesterday. He simply said, hey, listen, they had high level of technology. They had high level of sophisticated society. They didn't need methodological naturalism. We agreed they didn't need it. Why were you trying to superimpose this modern European, like y'all claim, idea retrospectively on the past? Make that make sense. How do you make that make sense? I don't think you can. I really don't think you can. Joel, you there? Lamar Pope. If Lamar Pope wants to hit the link, I dropped the link in the chat for anyone who wants to hit it. The panel, speak your speech. Say what's on your mind.
Yeah,
And yes,
I'm here. You tripped me out when you said, in the name of Allah, I cut it out. Tripping, man, you geeking right now.
in the name of Allah, Chef, cut it out. Knock it off. Stop the cut.
Now, he up there lying on them folks, man. That's bad, man. It's
Yeah.
folks to say anything to win an argument. I don't know
Reggie,
why they even need to win an argument. Why we can't just have this conversation?
Reggie said, well, they had observations, but the observations were messy. What? You discrediting beep 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 beep. Who is you came on the scene actually accusing us of minimizing these people? Yeah, your use of
Crazy.
nomenclature is an attempt to minimize these cultures. Then you come full circle and say they had messy observation. What the hell is a messy observation? They wrote it down while doing a number two. What are you talking about? You know the high level of empiricism required to get us to where we are. Hunter gatherers building up the playa. You know what kind of empiricism is required there.
Yeah,
What
man,
are
it's
you talking
ingenious,
about?
man.
Messy?
What's wrong
What
with
is
these guys?
messy about that? What is messy about that?
I swear they trying to say they trying to say that if we don't say that they use science, they equate that to us saying that they were dumb or primitive or I don't know, whatever word that can be used that would mean that you somebody don't have as much knowledge or education that you have. That's how they look at it, man. It's gotta be it. It can't be nothing else. I don't understand how it could be anything else.
At this point, I mean, I don't mind beating a dead horse. I don't mind kicking you while you're down. But that's pretty much what they're doing. They got this little young dude, the fakest. Oh man, poor kid. He needs to sit at some feet so he can actually learn something.
Poor
This man,
kid is right,
you,
man. He don't
bro,
even have the argument right. That's what's so bad about him.
completely lost on the argument. So you're beating up a straw man that you created over there because nothing you say is coherent and matches up with what I'm saying over here. Number two, your concept of a linear progression. Now, when I present that epistemic rupture, you would have to show me how methodological naturalism has anything to do with the authoritative structure that is inherent to natural philosophy. We can see the epistemic rupture. We saw when the authority, the old way, fell apart. Nothing from that era conceptually has been taken forward. The tools, the mathematics, again, experimental structure, whatever little bits of relevant tools they are represented today. Philosophically, who operates on an arc principle? Which scientific foundation operates on an arc principle? But you would have to know what an arc principle is to actually answer that question. Now, here's how easy you do this. What is a philosophical framework required to smelt iron? None.
You asking me
None. It's just an action.
what the
You
smell
agree
iron?
with that? You don't need a philosophical framework to melt iron
You
because
need some hot. You need a hot fire.
that's it. You don't need a philosophical framework because all you're doing is melting the damn iron. So when I ask, when you frame questions like that, what's the philosophical framework required for metallurgy? Trial and error, survival, knowledge, functional tools. You're in the two fundamental primary steps of understanding. You're in knowledge and technology. You do not need a philosophical basis to do that. So why would you consider something like that science when science is about a conceptualization? You see why I stay right where I stood from the beginning. Methodological naturalism is science. And I didn't do much
Right.
more. I didn't elaborate. I just stayed right there because these are the muddy waters I knew we would eventually be traversing. And I stayed dry and clean all the way up here in the boat. I ain't swimming in that stuff. I come from the Caribbean. My water is blue, and you can see visibility under the water for about 2 miles. I don't swim in muddy water, so I'm gonna stay in this boat right up here because y'all are fundamentally and structurally out of this conversation. They're always calling me out, but now you got an opportunity to sit with me one on one. Y'all never hit the link, though. Y'all doubt because I'm gonna pull a presentation up and answer your questions before you ask them. I know it's
Yeah.
hard, right? When you thought
Hey,
when you
Cedric.
3 days when you took 3 days to put a presentation together, and you realized that my rebuttal was already scheduled, so I already knew the infancy of your argumentation. Y'all don't know what methodological naturalism means. If you compare that to a naturalist, an individual, like silly reasoning. Category fallacy. Category fallacy. Straw man, category fallacy. Fundamental, inherently wrong in terms of the approach to this. We are talking about systems. There is no linear progression. You don't get more natural philosophy with methodological naturalism. You get an epistemic rupture, a break. These are the words used within the framework of the philosophical discussion we're having. That's why I use them. I'm giving y'all context clues. Those are what we call Easter eggs. Put that in your bag. Go look it up. See, Reggie did that with methodological naturalism. However, instead of trying to understand what that framework meant and represented, what did Reggie do? Reggie comes back and tell us, yo, they didn't take God out of science, yo. Cedric's lying. You got something called the God particle. It's the goddamn particle. Higgs boson. Mitochondrial Eve. That's nomenclature versus methodology, Reggie. Where is the where is the claims of supernatural in modern science in our methodology? Can you highlight that? So methodological
No, you
natural.
know what that is? You're wrong. It ain't just that. You know what that is? That's
But
not reading. That's not reading and going to do some research. He done went read, read, did some research. He didn't know what that God particle meant. He would have known. He would have stopped himself from saying it. But no,
colloquialism,
no.
colloquialism, they don't actually read, they don't actually ground themselves in this subject. They are operating on a get the pseudo killer back, get the God killer back. We need to get them. They're lying. We gotta get them. We gotta get them. We're gonna. And you
Lying
continue
for
to
what?
talk to your face.
What are you gonna be lying for? We sitting up here trying to educate the community. Ain't nobody got no time for that. We ain't trying to win a popularity contest like them cats.
Bro,
They
if
tripping.
if we have something wrong, it is wrong. We'll correct it in real time because it's about accurate information. There's nothing to win. I am a
Yeah,
science community.
exactly.
If y'all listen to us, science is undefeated. Not Cedric, not the pseudo killers, not the community of skeptic, not the God killer. Science. It is void of my emotions. It is not
Well,
meant to
I don't know. We
create
all kind of
any
undefeated. We all kind of undefeated.
science is undefeated.
I, I don't know. Them serial killers all kind of undefeated, yo. We even beating the brakes off of them. Mighty long time.
You know what it is to spank a dude without even having him in consideration. I'm over here teaching and I'm beating the truest up without lifting a finger. Like I haven't lifted an extra finger to address the little kid. Like he is wrong as two left feet. Like why would you need like methodological? You don't have to be an atheist, but that's the whole idea of methodological naturalism. By excluding gods and any and all gods, it allows for any and everybody to engage in it because your God remains intact with you, but you're not superimposing your God or your cultural containers onto the data, which makes the data pure. And it's the purity of the data and it is the universality of the system which made it successful. Not because it's inherently European, not because it is inherently white or black, it is because it's applicable everywhere. You know, I've said it in the beginning of these conversations. Do we measure gravity different in Africa? Is there African science way to measure gravity? I don't know what it is. When it comes to science and scientific literacy, your racialized concepts and your presuppositional biases, they are checked at the door. You learn to have no intention and follow the data where it leads. Y'all engaging in everything from this from this uh from this ideological baggage. You have a particular philosophical framework in your mind, and that is the only thing you can operate from. So everything outside of that is wild, is crazy, and that's why Reggie is consistently and constantly on the wrong side of the argument. Reggie, you've been skin flim flamming, bamboozling the people for how long? Has Reggie ever won an argument or a debate? And now you go and give yourself the death blow, literally the death blow.
Yeah,
Like
he
it's
making himself look bad. He making himself look like he don't read. And he the guy, he's the guy with the science degree, right? He's the guy. He's the guy that brags about it. I'm saying he
yeah,
always talking about how you ain't got a degree. Have you wrote anything?
yeah, that
Blah
kind
blah
of
blah blah
ridiculous,
blah.
blah 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 blah, trying to put people down. Like, why would you do that? If you come into this environment, all right, you know what you know, yes, but if you come to this environment, you do not come right, into environment and then stake your superiority that nobody can talk to you based on a degree. No, we don't do that. But if you want to do the
Right.
degree thing, Reggie, this is the one arena that you can't do it with me. I'm no science. I have a bachelor's degree.
Shoot, I'm
I'm
just gonna tell them you gotta read. What the heck?
exactly.
I mean, look, man, I can read the same thing you can read.
Exactly.
Just because you an expert with in floppy disk, you know what I'm saying? You're expert in floppy disk, and he flexing. What the
Yeah.
heck? I'm an expert and got there going HVAC. So now I'll take that.
What now? What? So what? How is that germane to any conversation? Reggie's an expert by proximity. Well, I was once in a relationship with a renowned scientist. Therefore, I'm a authoritative figure to talk on scientists. I've cleaned the feet of and sat at and inhaled the fungus of Dr. Ben. I've read to Dr. Ben. So by means of the fusion of his ether, his the fusion of his power. You know, when he farts, there's a diffusionary process, and his superior intellect enters my
My
nostril.
God, it's over you. They're
What
reminiscing.
up,
All right,
Ted? What
fine.
up, Joe?
What up? What
What
up,
up,
What's up,
Sabio?
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 Sabio,
Hey man,
Chris,
don't hey, hey,
in the
hey, don't hurt
building.
nobody, Sabio. You always know Sabio coming hot. Don't hurt nobody.
You got
No,
the
no,
floor,
no,
Sabio.
no. I just wanted to say because y'all been putting together some beautiful shows on this concept, and I wanted to ask you a question. And Joe, that was a great breakdown that you just you earlier before y'all got into that little conversation. I heard
Yeah,
it was
man.
a nice it was a nice rendition, nice breakdown. So you said something about oxygen, and the my question is, what did the ancients attribute oxygen to? Said
Who
They
who
attributed to God in my Bible. In my Bible, they
actually
attributed to God.
was
God
the
breathed in
new
the man. And
one of the elements, right? The air, right? And it was I don't know. I
the
That's a great
ruach. They
question. I'm
called it
gonna
the
listen.
ruach. They called it the ruach hakodesh, spiritus, or the nous.
Oh yeah.
mm,
Yeah, yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Nothing
The Ruah,
scientific.
the Nefesh, the Ruah, yeah, that those spirit, the divine
Nothing.
portion. Yeah.
So where's the science in that? Tell me
Mm,
the scientific equation in those concepts. Any person pushing science on
we,
antiquity, please
I'm
tell me the scientific
I'm
equation in
still
that.
looking for it today. From the moment someone says spirit, I ask them, how do we measure it, test it? Where's it, this location? What are the parameters by which we define it? Like when you say that, then where's the quantifiability of it? Can,
Mm.
how do you weigh it? Does it come in grams or ounces? Do you get a
You know what?
pound of soul or an ounce of soul? I don't know.
I've been asking them, when does the soul enter a person? Is it a and which seed carries the soul? Is it the male, the female? Is it the mama or the daddy? When does it enter the fetus, the newborn child? What stage? Is it at conception? Is it
Oh
at
no.
6 months of age? Is it at 6 years? 20? 18?
Are we having fun, or we really want to answer the question? I
I
don't know.
really want to know these things
If you really,
because it's too much
if you really
guessing.
want to know, if you really want to know, the soul is a figment of my imagination, buddy.
There you
Oh,
go.
I know. Trust me, I'm 1,000% with you, Joe.
Chris MVP Harris, what it do? What it do? Tell the
What it
people
do?
what you're doing
Hey,
tonight. Red, you got
you
the floor,
know,
my
you
brother.
know, you know what it is. Pseudo's got to eat too. So check this out. Did I hear a couple of friends of mine called me and said that somebody came up on the show saying Isaac Newton arguing for Isaac Newton being a scientist. Is that correct?
I think that's last night.
Last
Chef
night.
is crashing out because the claim
Hey, that was
is,
sad.
y'all over there saying, Newton.
Okay, so but here's the problem with that argument. I would agree that Isaac Newton is a scientist, and the that would actually dismiss his medieval scientific claims and his ancient scientific claims, because Isaac Newton actually, the laws of physics are still studied today in higher institutions, and Isaac Newton had a empirical method that we can go research and check and validate through the scientific method. You cannot do those things with certain ancient scientists. So he actually hung himself again. You fucking fucking scumbag. You killed yourself with that argument. And that's what happens when you straw man all day, you scumbag. I'm gonna come to Philadelphia or wherever you from and burn that goddamn beard of yours, man. That don't make no sense. If you went to Sir Isaac Newton to argue that he was in fact a scientist, I would agree. But now your rationale is flawed. Your logic is flawed now because you cannot do that with medieval sciences.
No, you
Simple.
can't.
I
No,
call
you
that another pseudo knocked out, another
knocked
PKO.
out. PKO, another pseudo knockout. Man, are y'all tune in tonight? I think Chris is going live at 8 p.m. where he's going to do his thing, another masterful dissection of pseudoisms in the community. We lay the stage, we do the foundation, we teach y'all the nomenclature, the philosophical conceptualization, and then we got the shows where the brothers now break them down, right?
Yo,
And this is a formula. So the pseudos are on the run. We've changed the narrative in the community. Science is undefeated. Science is the A side. When have last have you heard a conversation in any other contextual format? It is all science. It is all the pseudo killer narrative. We the A side. Y'all gonna continue to follow and get beat up because instead of learning, y'all want to fight.
hey, Ted and Chris, let me ask y'all. Did y'all get that book by Richard Carey I posted in y'all chat? The Christian Science in the Roman Empire?
If
Uh,
it did, if it did, I haven't gotten around to reading it yet.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. I missed it.
All right,
this
well,
one?
I try to post it in the Discord back chat also. The Christian
Yeah,
Scientist in the
put
Roman
that back
Empire
there
by
again.
Richard Carey.
Yeah,
Did
put
you
that back.
did you put it in our book section?
Nah, I will.
Yeah, yeah. Put it in there. That way we can always go get it.
Let me make sure I drop that in there after this show.
That
Yeah,
makes
so what time
absolutely
you
no
going live
sense.
tonight, Chris?
I'll be going live probably around 9 o'clock, 8. I'll probably go live around 8 o'clock, being honest.
All
If
right.
because I don't have much to do. I'm just ready to get home and lay down for a minute, take a nap. I just got finished working out, so um, yeah, that's just a garbage argument, and I can clearly see all the pivoting. I could see the slow pivot that they're starting to do now. But if you use Isaac Newton, that's game over. I would agree with you. There's a reason why we still use his methods, his data, because it was tested. It's been fought. We've tried to falsify it. It's been tested against.
And
it's,
so
you guys
there's
killed
no
yourself
getting
with
away
that.
from it, right? I
There's no getting
stayed,
away from it.
yeah, I stayed right where I was, and eventually y'all, them would have had to reach here because this is the doorway. Methodological naturalism. It is killing the old way. The barber shop is burning down. They got to run for their lives.
And
Methodological naturalism.
I can tell that some people just read the definition and they just try to run around with it. That's that the naturalistic excuse me, methodological naturalism is nothing but the scientific method. That's all it is. People be like, oh, it's just atheism on steroids.
Oh,
No,
oh,
man.
oh,
No.
oh. I think the gauntlet has been thrown down. Oh, you said you don't lift no weights. I want to see a bench press off. Who's benching 300 pounds? Who's benching 300 pounds?
Shit.
Oh,
I ain't bench pressing no 300 pounds. I ain't nobody. That's bodybuilding, bro.
I'm just messing with y'all. right, man. So I'm a
All right,
wrap
bro.
it up. I think my work here is I'm gonna continue. I'm getting into the Greek philosophy a little bit tomorrow, right? Because we're at that point, right? Now I'm gonna start to address some of the claims. You've seen today that whole narrative of the Islamic Golden Age and their contributions to astronomy, etc., overwhooping everything. They are rooted within the old way. The old way. That's where they are. They're still stuck in the old way. The new way, methodological naturalism, comes later. It requires an epistemic rupture. Do we see elements, tools, principles, mathematics coming back? These are the tools, these are the very low bottom. What we are talking about is the philosophical package, the frameworks under which you investigate the natural world. When they make claims like the natural, like messy observations, y'all are doing exactly everything y'all accuse us of doing. That's presentism. That's scientism. That is historical anachronism. That's y'all doing it, not us. Well, you got any last words to say before we get out of here? Calling Joel. Calling Joel. Y'all know what I say. Scientific literacy is the
Yeah,
vaccine.
man. Yeah, man. Yeah, yeah. Wait a minute. Oh shoot. Let me see if I can. Let me see if I can find what I was getting ready to. Because every time I wanna say something, if I scroll away, I get got. Dropping them right on off. I ain't at the computer, man. I wish I was at the computer.
All right,
But
go ahead.
where we at? Science is used for validation, trust, and truth because it is self-correcting. It is a self-correcting process designed to build reliable knowledge through rigorous testing, peer review, and transparency. It acts as a standard for evidence-based conclusions rather than relying on opinion, making it a credible method for finding truth, even though scientific conclusions are designed to evolve with new evidence. So just like science can correct itself and they don't mind being wrong, it uses the available knowledge, what it got. If something new come up that supersedes it or makes it more plainer, science changes. It goes with it, right? So as soon as they can come up with another definition for science that trumps what we're saying, then I guess we'll change and go with the new definition. But until then, they need to change their tone and start going with the definition that we have on hand. That's all I wanted to say. This is the Dynamite Show. Keep doing what you're doing. You've been banging them out. I holler.
Thank you, Joel. And you know what I say?
Peace.
Scientific literacy is the vaccine against the charlatans, scammers, hustlers, and hoodwinkers in the community. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, let's take us out.
Yeah. Welcome to Set Talks, where we separate fact and fiction. Mess it up amid every time. This that Set Talk, yeah, we set it straight. Cut through the noise, elevate the debate. No pseudo talk, no foggy claims. Just evidence-based when we build these frames. Set Talks, yeah, clarity first. If it ain't got method, it probably won't work. From ancient knowledge to modern science, we draw that line, that clear define. They say the ancients had science. Hold up. Pause. Knowledge ain't the same as methodological laws. Observation, yeah, but control tests rare. No predictive models, you gotta be fair. We respect the past, but we keep it exact. Precision matters when you deal with facts. Astronomy grew, astrology split. One stayed empirical, one lean myth. The shift came through a naturalistic method. Just standing of eyes, that's how we embed it. Not culture bound, not tied to a place. It's a universal tool for the human race. This guy said talks, yeah, he said it straight. Cut through the noise, elevate the debate. No pseudo talk, no foggy claims. Just gathered in space when we build these frames. Said talks, yeah, clarity first. If it ain't got method, it probably won't work. From ancient knowledge to modern science, we draw that line, that clear defiance. They blur definition, start moving the goalposts. Turn fried to a claim that don't hold close. Science ain't on, this a process refined. Independent of culture, space and time. You can't redefine it to fit identity. That's how you lose all epistemic integrity. We test every claim, we don't just believe. If it can't be verified, we don't receive. From early observers to labs today, it's rigor and doubt that paved the way. Not name dropping scholars to win a debate, but data and method that validate. So what's your ideology? That's cool to ask, but truth ain't decided by the loudest class. We question it all, no sacred ground. If it don't hold up, we break it down. This that set hope, yeah, we live in direct. No fear in the facts, just intellectual respect. No more, no mirror, no fantasy, just truth, logic, and consistency. Well, check the credentials. You lack the literacy for this level. Listen. Niggas doing they best, try to bless me. Try harder, keep failing the test, got no pedigree. Pushing killers, top dog versus ticks and fleas. In them all, trendsetters, everybody follow me. Line up, I make you beg for your life, praying on your knees. Lord, help on little dudes, ain't on my level, too hot, 33 degrees. Just so cold with it, watching niggas freeze. Psych cop, bubbly, flim, lemon, nigga please. Got everybody talking science, but they can barely breathe it out. Said the ignorance is like a fucking disease. I'm really starting to question the mental capacity. Are you home? High school dropouts wanna compete with me. It's a cloud, get your gate up. It's a long conduit where I be. Trying to retrofit the data just to match your prophecy. Claiming ancient secrets, but it's really just a wage stretch. Or to learn a lesson when you're dying just to preach. Let's dismiss. Top floor view, stay grounded. Can't hide when you sit at the top. If you're coming for the spot. Target on live. Grounded in my game, steady as a rock. Ain't hard when you sit at the top. Leave you if you come for the spot. Missiles ain't got the target on live. Grounded in my game, steady as a rock. What's your ideology? Can somebody explain to me why all this blackology? Is this the culture's community? Every discussion rooted in blackology, fueled by the lack of basic integrity. Case in point, you know who I mean. High level foolery, dress up as a dream. Nostalgia trap, always reliving history, but missing them at the no epistemic consistency. Name drops heavy just to spark up the flame, but scholarship ain't just remembering names. Smoking mirrors, performance, artistry, debate, turn feeding my intellectual honesty. You say build, but what are you building really? If it's not grounded, it's just sounding silly. What's your ideology? Can somebody explain to me why all this blackology? Is this the conscious community? Confusion rising, no clarity, just noise wrapped in false authority. What's your ideology?
Yeah, somebody explain this bit. Promoting theories with no accountability. Cherry pick claim just as credibility. Confirmation bias, that's the strategy. Ignore the data, rewrite reality. Call yourself a scholar, that's a travesty. Is the metaphysics, that's not mastery. You can't read plain sight, culturally the call it truth. That's not how it be. Some saying no, it's mythology. That's the more repeatable, that's the policy. You burn the lines, create mythology. Then package it up as black technology. Now it's energy, now it's destiny. Now it's outside out to feed a legacy. But inheritance ain't validity. You still gotta show that epistemic stability. What's your ideology? Can somebody explain to me why all this blackology? Is this the conscious community? All I see is fantasy, no rigor, no transparency. What's your ideology? Still waiting, explain to me. Try to put the map, rewrite biology. Got check quick, that's reality when evidence is. No apologies, vivid again. No mythology, squint your eyes, disguise the lies. But truth don't bend to theatrics and cries. The crazy or not, that don't move me. If the logic's weak, I see it clearly. No ideology, I stand on method. Test to reclaim, cross-check, then hit it. You want truth, then you gotta respect it. Not just protect it when it's convenient. What's your ideology? Yeah, that's the question lately. But if it ain't grounded properly, it just knows and it don't faze me. Yeah. That's the question lately. But if it ain't grounded properly, it's just noise and it don't faze me.